hands on a new mirrorless camera from Canon, the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. Today I'm going to share my experiences with some of the new and improved features, including autofocus upgrades, lightning fast electronic shutter, and even a new pre-continuous shoot mode. Hey everybody, Lindsay Adler here. One of the perks of being a Canon Explorer of Light is that I get to be one of the first people to put new gear through its paces. And of course, I'm always thinking about how the gear can serve me better. In other words, how's it going to make my life, make my job as a professional portrait and fashion photographer just a little bit easier? I spent the day with the Canon EOS R5 Mark II mirrorless camera, and here are some of the highlights, some of the things that got me excited about adding this new tool to my kit. Now, first of all, I was thrilled to find out that this camera has done a lot to help me better capture motion. And recently I've been playing around with motion quite a bit. For example, have you ever shot movement like a subject jumping? Maybe they're flipping their hair or some sort of decisive moment where everything has to come together, but you realize that you missed the perfect frame by just a fraction of a second. The R5 Mark II has a couple of things that's going to help us out. So first of all, with the back-illuminated stacked CMOS sensor and the electronic shutter, we can now shoot up to 30 frames per second. And, important for how I shoot, it can capture up to 20 frames per second with flash. Now here I tried shooting splashes of water. I definitely needed a fast shutter speed and a lot of frames per second to help me capture those water droplets frozen. I wanted the perfect moment. So at 30 frames per second, I got tons of images to choose from where I can now pick the right combination of the expression, the splash, the composition, the pose of the model, where it all comes together. Now let's say that I'm photographing a model where it's all about the flipping of the hair. I know in the past I've actually run into a couple issues. For example, if hair or water or fabric or something crosses in front of the subject's face, the autofocus used to get a little bit confused. It would maybe lose the lock-on focus. But with the R5 Mark II's deep learning tracking upgrades, it grabs the focus, it holds on, and it stays in focus, even if something crosses in front of the camera. This is so helpful for the way that I shoot, and it's going to make my job a lot easier. Next, when it comes to motion, I don't always want to have to capture hundreds of frames to try to get the right shot. Like, it's a lot to have to edit through, and it can be really memory space intensive. Instead, what I often will try to do is anticipate the height of a jump, or like the perfect moment of the flip of the hair, or the toss of a dress without just holding down my shutter endlessly. But unfortunately, sometimes I'm still a little bit slow on the trigger, and I find that I miss the perfect moment. So that's where the new pre-continuous shooting steps in and saves the day. So when this is active, I hold down the shutter halfway, and it starts buffering images for about a half a second before I fully press the shutter and take the shot. So what this really translates to is, even if I miss the moment when I press the shutter, it also captured a half a second before, which helps me increase the chances of capturing an image where everything comes together, again, for that decisive moment. Now, of course, the camera has a bunch of other upgrades and capabilities besides just autofocus and high frame rates. It also has improved low light and high ISO capabilities. Let's say that my concept, maybe for a fashion shoot or a portrait, requires me to shoot at night and in the dark, low light. The frame rate of the live view display is now optimized for low light, so it helps me see what I'm creating, see what I'm shooting, even if I'm in almost no ambient light. So whether I'm doing a paint with light image in the dark, using long exposures and painting the frame, or maybe I'm photographing my subject where I'm just illuminating them with a street light or other low light, the display is going to go a long way to help me do my job. Plus, I can confidently shoot at high ISOs and still achieve really clean results. I remember years ago, I used to be afraid of anything even close to a high ISO, and now I realize it's just another tool that lets me achieve images that used to be impossible. So there you have it, a peek into my playday with the new Canon EOS R5 Mark II. Now, of course, there are other features to test out, things like eye control, neural network upscaling, and subject detection for people, and of course, other upgrades. There's always something new to try, play around with, and to make my job easier. Thanks everyone for joining, and I'll see you next time.